Hey everyone, I'm Nate,
And I'm John.
and this is, we don't know what we're,
We don't know what we're doing. Thanks for tuning in.
no, seriously, we don't know what we're gonna call this channel. We will know by the time you see this video,
Yep.
so just don't worry. Also,
But let's tell them what it's about.
so,
This video is about, this particular video will have a specific issue, but all of the videos are going to be us talking about an issue that intersects faith and culture and sometimes
politics, science,
history, science,
social
whatever
issues.
is a big issue of the time.
Yeah.
Social issues. There's a bunch right now that we could touch on a number of them. So there's no shortage of content. And
No
the whole
kidding.
point of this is Nate is a history buff, more than a history buff. You've got a degree in
Yeah.
history, and I'm a pastor. So we're going to kind of tackle it from those two perspectives, and we'll see how it goes.
And just a note, this is not a green screen. This is just our church library.
Yep.
And there's something weird with the camera on John's phone that's blurring it out.
We discovered that my video camera on my phone knows that it wants to focus on the two of us and wants to blur out everything behind us, which is really weird. But it's cool. It looks good. It makes us stand out. So
Okay.
we might do this this way every time. Who knows? We'll see.
Or we might change location sometimes.
Yeah, or we might discover that camera is too far away and we might need to scoot closer. We're kind of small compared to other videos I've seen where two people are interviewing each other. I don't know. But it's our first go around. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into something that people care about. That's not us.
Right.
So, okay.
Weren't we going to do the thing about preserving life?
Preserving life. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a big broad. Okay, so from a theological perspective, preserving life is about respect for life because God is the author of life. So everything God does is to promote life, right? So the reason that came up, though, was we're I think going to start with, instead of starting with theology, start with
the social issue.
The social issue.
So
and there's a lot of social issues connected to that particular one.
The one that got the two of us thinking about the concept of preserving life was I think it was my first year in college, which is practically ancient history by now. What was that, 5-6 years ago? Back in 2015? But I remember being on Facebook and seeing different posts by some libertarian friends of mine coming out against gun control. And this one guy I was high school friends with was diehard atheist, diehard libertarian, but he used a verse in Luke to support, I don't know, the Second Amendment or something.
Really?
Yeah, the verse was where Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he says, whoever doesn't have a sword, sell what you have to buy one.
Okay.
And I thought, I thought, you're kidding, there's no way that's in the Bible. And I looked at Luke, and
there it is.
There it is.
Yep.
And so I couldn't figure out, well, this doesn't make sense. This is coming from the same guy who says, turn the other cheek, don't repay good with evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up video chatting with you about it.
Yep.
And we ended up coming to a really interesting conclusion. I'm not sure if we both have the same conclusion about it 5-6 years later, but...
What was the conclusion we came to?
I think it was...
You remember?
I think it was something along the lines of God puts it into certain people's conscience to arm themselves to defend the people they care about, and some people he puts in their conscience to stay unarmed and fight evil non-violently.
Yep. And that really characterizes my own experience and belief, because I am very pro-gun, but I won't own one myself. Like, I will never get a gun if I can help it. Like, and I think I can help it. I have no desire to ever own a gun.
Let's hope we can help it.
Yeah, I don't have a desire to ever go to war or be in any kind of battle with automatic weapons of any kind.
Right.
But I have dear friends, and we live in a rural context where a lot of people around us are hunters and fishers, and
Ex-military.
They have a lot of ex-military, and they have guns. They have every kind of gun, and including some that nobody would ever need for hunting. You're like, what? That fires 100 rounds a second. Like, I don't know. I also know almost nothing about guns, so because I don't want to own one.
A little something about it.
And I say that because I'll make up stuff. I don't know the names of guns or how many rounds they shoot or how fast. But what I do know is that people that I really like who carry guns, a lot of people have conceal and carry, and they'll bring it everywhere. And I feel safer with them around because I know that if something were to go down, they'd have my back. Right. And I think that's very important. And the conservative view on that is slightly different than the libertarian view. The conservative view that I'm familiar with is a good guy with the gun is the best defense against a bad guy with a gun.
That's pretty much the sum of what I've heard too.
Yeah. The libertarian is more about
defending yourself against
freedom,
the government or something.
They want less regulation and more freedom. So for them, I don't even know if it matters as much, defending and all that. It's just a matter of let's just let people be people and do what they do. And of course, I have more behind my view than just that kind of freedom. Then again, I'm not a libertarian, and would you describe yourself as a libertarian?
I haven't got a clue what the heck I describe myself as. I'm kind of here, kind of there, kind of everywhere, kind of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, and I'm an independent, so I try to look at all the issues separately.
I'd probably call myself that too. Actually.
From the political spectrum, I try to approach it biblically rather than politically.
Right.
And so I end up kind of all over the place depending on the issue. But some of the issues are so complicated, you can believe the same things theologically and still arrive at different conclusions, just depending on what part of the complex issue you're looking at, or which part of it you value more. Guns is a great example because we want to protect life, we value life. I think that's pretty universal from both sides, right?
Right.
Whether you're a liberal or a progressive or a conservative or a libertarian, we do want people to live. and guns are a really quick and easy way for people to die. And when we look at that, we say, whoa, we don't want people to die. The problem, and you could maybe address this in what you know of history, I see conservatives posting all the time that places like Russia and Germany and communist countries take guns from their citizens. Would you know much about that? Before they get as much power as they get.
So I haven't really researched much into that particular aspect of those regimes. Okay. I've more focused on the military history, the wars they get into, but it does seem like a logical first step for a sort of government like that to do.
So there's a great fear of totalitarianism among conservatives, I think, more than progressives. And that fear is not unfounded. The 20th century saw that happen so many times. It's in recent cultural memory, and we don't want that to happen again. Right. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts.
Even more recent stuff like now we're getting into really ancient history. Remember Sandy Hook?
Yeah, well, okay, ancient, but yeah. You're young. You were probably pretty young when that happened.
Yeah, I was think the year before I moved here to K Falls.
Okay. So was that 8th grade, 9th grade?
10th grade?
Okay.
Ninth grade, 10th grade.
Yeah.
I think I was in high school
Yeah.
back then.
Okay. And what about it? What about Sandy Hook?
Well, I remember just hearing on the radio news that what had happened, and then starting to that's really when the gun control debate really started in my lifetime.
Right. It's interesting because for me, the first time I really became aware of this big gun debate was Columbine in Colorado, which was years before Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook conjured up all of those things again, all over again. And if you're viewing and you're not old enough to know what those are, Sandy Hook was an incident where a grown man walked into an elementary school and shot a bunch of people, including a lot of children.
Elementary school, so we're talking like 5 to 10-year-olds.
Right, yeah, little kids. He was crazy, wrong in the head. But then in Columbine, in Colorado, that was a high school, and it was 2 boys orchestrated it and carried it out, and they killed a bunch of their classmates.
Was that in like the early 90s or something?
It was late 90s, mid to late 90s.
So probably a bit before I was born then.
Yeah, yeah. And that was a big deal. People were freaked out that this could have happened. How did these mentally disturbed high school students get these kinds of guns? I mean, they had a lot, and they had guns that you would never need for hunting. They had automatic weapons and things, and they had plotted this whole thing out.
Were they fully autos or semi-autos?
I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. We'd have to look it up. But yeah, this is a big deal because innocent people died, and we all together, all of us, want to prevent that. What's the best way to prevent that? And a lot of conservatives and progressives took opposite ideas for how to prevent the loss of life. So we all have the same goal, and that's, I think, really, really important to remember, is that we are on the same team. We're on the same side. We all want what is right. We have different ideas about how to get there, and that turns into vitriol and hate and hostility and anger. But it comes from a place of desiring the same thing. We want people to live, and that's a good thing. So anyway, the 2 sides were get rid of all the guns, and the other side was give all the good guys guns, or as many as will take them. You know, if you have some good conceal and carry teachers, administrators, principals, they can help in that situation. What ended up happening legally was almost kind of a stalemate. Neither of those things have happened. And so things haven't changed really, which is baffling when you think about it. We want to do something, but we're so opposed at what to do that we've done nothing. And so these shootings will keep happening until we do something. And if we take away guns, the conservatives are afraid of Nazi Germany. And if we give the good guys guns, the
progressives are afraid that they'll turn out not to be good guys.
Right, yeah. Or they'll fail, or some student will creep in and get the gun, you know, that kind of stuff. So, yep. That summarizes both my perspective and my understanding. From a biblical perspective, let's go back to that Luke passage real quick, because I think that's important.
So, you wouldn't happen to have a Bible on hand, would you?
It's also my camera.
Oh.
So no, I don't.
Is there a Bible somewhere in this room?
You know what? Well, don't you have one on your phone? I hope you do.
I don't.
You don't have a Bible on your phone?
We're
going to stop the presses here.
No, I always carry a paper one around.
One here? Oh, well. Yeah, I have both just in case, but my paper ones are all in my office.
Oh, crud.
Huh. Well,
I think we can...
You would think in a church library we would have some Bibles, but I think all of our Bibles, I just people
I think I
assume
can
that.
paraphrase the verse
Yeah, man, that's
from
weird.
from memory.
We might have
on.
to edit this later. I might have to. This is embarrassing. We don't have a Bible in our library.
Hey, we're just casually
interesting.
we're just doing this casually.
Yeah, we are.
I don't think the viewers will mind.
That's true.
I
All
don't-
five of
you guys won't
thank
mind, right?
Thank you for watching for this long. All
But
right.
I think I can paraphrase it from memory.
Okay.
So I forget how Jesus sets up the statement he makes in the verse, but he eventually goes on to say, and any of you who doesn't have a sword, sell what you have, and buy one. And then one of the apostles says, "Look, we got 2 swords here," and Jesus is like, "Okay, enough of that."
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I started thinking, what if he was talking about the sword of the Spirit? I know the sword of the Spirit verse in Ephesians was written after Jesus
Right.
died and rose again.
Right.
But what if this verse here in Luke about getting a sword was meant to sort of preview and refer to that?
That's an interesting idea. I would guess because Jesus was so often not taken. People didn't understand him when he spoke that way. If he was speaking metaphorically, the disciples would have been like, "What? What does that mean?" And then it would have explained it in the Bible. Because they did that lots of other times.
Right.
When Jesus would say something and he was being metaphorical, like he's like, "I have bread that you know nothing about." And they're like, "What? What? He brought some bread with him? Where'd he get bread?" He wasn't talking about bread. He was talking about the Word of God. So yeah, I think if that was the case, there would have been some confusion on the disciple side and some clarification from Jesus or from the gospel writer who said, well, he was talking about that. I think he was talking about real swords. I think that's pretty clear. What is not clear is what he wanted them to do with it. Was it just for show? And I kind of suspect it was. Like the idea was, if you have a sword on your side, people aren't going to mess with you. And it probably will never come to you needing to use it in fight. It's more of a, if you do want to fight, you're taking your chances.
Like, hey, look at me, I'm dangerous.
Right. And generally, Christians don't want to look that way. But in this environment, where they were going to be going to some hostile places, this might have prevented them from getting beat up. That's just how I've heard it interpreted by people. Most guys that want to hurt you or harm you don't want to do it if it's risky. They won't do it. In fact, we see that in social media. One of the reasons people are so openly hateful on social media is there's no risk. What are they gonna do? Say bad things back to you on the internet? So you can really be a jerk and really be mean without any repercussions. And I think that same thing is true of physical altercations. If I think I can get away with, not me personally, I don't beat people up, but if I'm an angry, godless person and I want to hurt somebody, I might not do it if I think I'm going to get hurt back, right? So that's actually, interestingly, what this guy brings out. This is a book called Letters to a Young Progressive by Mike S. Adams. You might not agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's a criminology professor, and he actually talks about in his book the idea that he's at least when this book was written, he was at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, and in this book he talks about the fact that shooters in our country, in Columbine and Sandy Hook and in countless other incidences, which he mentions, they go to places where they know there's not going to be any guns. They go to places where those places aren't allowed to have guns. You go to a place where there's nobody who can take you down, and you can take out more people that way. So his argument was that if people think that they're not going to get away with something, they won't do it. They won't be motivated to do it. And we can prevent mass shootings by having more guns in the hands of good people. We see that also with the police. In virtually every city across the country right now, murder rates have gone way up this year in 2021 because the police are being either defunded or their hands have been tied in terms of what they're allowed to do.
I've heard the exact opposite, actually, that it's been going down for like the last decade or something.
It was until this year. Yeah.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
this year.
I didn't hear about the stats for just this year alone.
Yeah, this year it's gone up.
I know nothing.
We should. You know what we'll do? Maybe. Well, I don't have time to edit this,
Right.
but it would be nice to throw up some stats on the
Right.
screen and say, okay, this is where, or maybe some links in the description. Maybe that's a way to do it.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
link to something in the description
Okay.
because that's what I've seen from multiple places. Is that this is a big deal? That more people, and talk about our value to save lives. People are dying when we take away the police. That's what happens. So, yeah. Anyway, I think that was a good example of Jesus just asking his disciples to be wise.
As strangely out of character as it might seem for a lot of readers to hear Jesus say, "Turn the other cheek," and then a few weeks later say, "Go get a sword."
Go get a sword. Well, and then even a few weeks after that, or however long it was, telling Peter not to use a sword.
Oh, right, when he cut off the dude's ear.
Peter he has a sword. Maybe it's even the one that he got for that particular occasion.
Probably.
And he uses it. He cuts this guy's ears off. And Jesus is like, put that thing away. What do you think you're doing? Whoever lives by the sword will die by the sword. And that was really interesting.
So it seems like a contradiction.
It does. Yeah. It does seem like a contradiction. But it's not, because, like I said, I don't think Jesus ever intended for them to use them. I think they were just for show.
Okay.
At least that's how I reconcile those seemingly contradictory statements. So, yep.
I think we've talked gun control to death.
Yeah.
No unfortunate pun intended.
We are pro-life.
But speaking of which, I think there's two other issues, really big issues. One, like, super massive, and I think you know where I'm going with this.
I think so.
And then the other one is sort of kind of under the radar, but they both have to do with this whole theme of preserving life.
Right.
And of course, the one I'm talking about is the abortion debate.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you were going to
And the other one I was hoping we could touch on a little bit is capital punishment.
Oh, capital punishment is actually a really interesting one.
I think we talked a little bit about it at our last meeting a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you guys, thank you for watching.
Oh, okay.
And we are going to tackle those on different videos.
Oh,
so that we don't make them watch us for 2 hours straight.
Okay, all right.
So thank you so much. If you liked that conversation and found it interesting or you learned something, obviously click the link.
Please leave a like,
subscribe. What are all the buttons?
Leave a comment.
Follow.
What?
Send us money, I guess. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Where would they send it to?
Click subscribe and
We're not doing this. We're not.
And like. That's really. Oh, the notification bell. That's the other one.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That way you'll be notified when we upload a new video, which isn't going to happen that often. Just so you know, we're looking at maybe once a month is what we're looking at. So,
all right.
Hopefully in 12 months you'll get a good bunch of half-hour long videos.
How long is this one?
25 minutes. That's good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. And we've wasted some time in the beginning explaining who we are. So
and
that's it.
We wasted a little bit of time at the beginning of this recording trying to
we
realizing we
might
were
edit
recording
it down a little bit. So
yeah.
Thank you. I'm Pastor John.
And I'm Nate.
And we will see you next time.